The Black Fat Femme Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio and Dr. John Paul, LLC. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Black Fat Femme Podcast, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I am one of your hosts, also known as Dr. John Paul, and I just want to say the name is Mamdani. Mamdani. The name is Mamdani. Mamdani. Yes. Chris,
Period.
you can go ahead and insert the song there if you'd like.
The name is Mamdani. Mamdani. The name is Mamdani. Mamdani.
But for those of you who are living under a rock, the world knows that I have a little crush on I love a man who is smart, honey. And this just I see it for you, Zohran. I see it for you. But honestly, I'm just grateful that the right person finally won. It's so good to see good people win. And I think I don't know. So first of all, I actually do want to be their friend. I've been saying very, very vocally online. I hope one day that Mamdani sees me and says, yes, we can be friends. I want to be his friend because I just think he's a great person. But it's just nice to see after this raggedy ass year that we've had that, finally we saw some good stuff. I mean, since 2020, I have not felt this much hope and this much joy since 2020. And I was like, oh, so some of these niggas actually do got some sense. Okay. I see it. I celebrate it. And so if y'all haven't picked up what we're throwing down, this is going to be a politically heavy episode. We are going to be talking about politics pretty much all episode. And I did want to say, if it's not your thing, if y'all don't have the capacity to listen and you want to skip to our yes ma'am and our no ma'am Pam, I understand that too. But we are going to be talking a lot about politics and hope and all of those things today. And so I just felt I really just wanted to start the show by just saying that I am mad as hell that I didn't get to that. I should say we, because I know you probably feel the same way I do. Mad as hell that we didn't get to stay in NYC to experience the joy of seeing him win. Or I should say take the crown. But shout out to all the friends who are still basking in the joy this week. How are you, my love? We spent a whole weekend together. So it feels like I haven't seen you for a minute, but also we literally spent 4 or 5 days together. So
yeah, pretty much. Well, first to that, John, is there aren't many people that I don't get tired of.
Yeah.
And I I really came back, was like, I'm not even tired, John. That was like it was really nice, right? The moment in the car when you were like, I really think we're sisters. And I was like, I really thought so too. So it feels really good because many folks I'm tired of seeing you after like 3 days, and you always like I was like I could go for 4 more days here with
we
you.
really could have.
It really was so much fun, and part of me is too like I wish I had the foresight to have thought about the election and been like, oh, let me.
Same.
I thought about stages for funsies. I've been thinking about the election. I was like, oh wait, there's a whole election happening, girl. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, y'all, it is your bestie Jordan, aka Joho, aka the Brick Doll this season, honey. Okay, I'm here to tell you, Brick.
Yes,
I'm here to tell you that I am clinging onto joy wherever Shakira that I can. Also, people were saying now Shakira law.
I got it. You said wherever I can, Shakira. Yes, bitch. Yes.
I feel joy right now because with the Prop 50 passing and and Mamdani's historic win.
Yeah.
I know people have a lot of feelings. About it, and I totally I hear the feelings, but I also I wish I was there to have seen people in the streets because that would have been so cool.
Yeah. It would have. I think for me, like I said, I think I'm looking for places and spaces where people are happy for the right reasons, and that's what it feels like. It feels like we're finally happy. The sense of joy that I'm starting to see people kind of have, like the same thing, like seeing Prop 50 pass in California. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but seeing Prop 50 pass and seeing so many Californians really come out and say, no, we have to stop this man. Like we literally have to stop these people from ruining our lives, ruining the hustle and the bustle of years of if you really want to do the math, it's over 70 years of work that these people are trying to undo and dismantle.
Yeah.
And the fact too that there are people who died in this work, right? Like I think we want to make I want to make it very clear, and I don't want to get too deep too soon, but like if
Yeah.
we really think about it, like Malcolm died in the work. Dr. King died in
Yeah.
the work. Like there have been so many people who have been their lives have been taken, or their lives have been they've put their livelihood on the lines to make sure
Mhm.
that we could go out and do what we do in terms of not only just this podcast, but the speaking, the teaching, the educating that we both do. And so I want to make it very clear that yeah, Mom Donnie winning is great and it feels good, but to see people like AOC, to see Bernie Sanders, to see people who, while people may go back and forth about their politics, to see that we finally have it feels like the world is starting to wake up in a way that I didn't feel like we had last November.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
it's cool. It's really cool. It's a really cool feeling to have. So with that being said, since it's just us in the kitchen this week, we ain't got nobody coming over trying to eat up all of our snacks.
Thank God, girl, because I need to go to Costco still. Whew.
Girl, we ain't got, and also the cost of snacks is high, girl.
Food is
Y'all we
expensive.
gonna have to start asking people to put some money into the pot if they're gonna be coming over here eating up all the
Okay,
cheeses, honey.
okay.
But all that to be said, I wanted to start off our show in regular fashion by giving our girl Miss Tisha Campbell her flowers to say, God damn it, we're still here. We are still here in this moment, and we're asking the question. I could not, we could not start this episode talking about politics and talking about the joy without me asking the question, why is the personal political to you, especially now? And I
Mm.
know for some, the statement, some folks they just kind of throw it around. Some folks say, okay, personal is political for me. And you're like, okay, girl, why? And they don't really have an answer for you. But I know for me, the reason why I thought it was so important for me to ask this question specifically now is to think that even though I'm not in a specific role, or I'm not like super duper engaged in politics the way I probably could be, or I sometimes want to be, uh, uh, the personal is political for me because it truly means life or death for so many of us right
Mm,
now.
mhm, mhm.
I mean, when you're thinking about trans folks getting access to care, when you're thinking about Black and brown folks having certain rights stripped away from them, these ICE being in our, like, literally, I kid you not. So the night I drove back from San Diego, I stopped to get gas, and as I was stopping to get gas, there were two random cars that were sitting in the gas station. And this was like 9:30 at night, sitting in the gas station. And I immediately looked at them and I said, oh, that's ICE. Like I just knew in
Mm.
my soul of soul that was ICE that was sitting at the gas station. And so it's like, we're not safe anywhere. And I'm gonna talk more about that a little bit later today too in my No Man Pam. But this whole notion of like, we're just not safe. Everything is a
Mhm.
life or death moment for us in a lot of ways. So thinking about Prop 50 for California, which passed with 66% of the state vote, in cities like Fresno voting blue in ways they never have.
Mhm.
It's a big fucking deal
Mhm.
that this prop passed the way that it passed.
Mhm.
Because if y'all don't know, California is red. As much as people try to paint it blue, it's red AF in a lot of places. And so it would have been easy for me to ignore this prop and say, I don't care about it. I don't have time to vote. The reality is that in 3 to 4 years, this prop might mean life or death for me, or it may mean life or death for you or other people that we know and love. And so I don't think people really get that if you aren't Black and aren't queer, you're constantly thinking about the life or death of everything. And so when I say that the personal is political, I'm literally saying my livelihood is on the motherfucking line. And so
Mm.
I wanted to ask this question to you because, like I said, we're going to be talking about politics in a minute, in a very loving, fun way. But I did want to
Yeah.
ask you, what does it mean for you?
I think for me, this is a big question, but like the personal has always been political to me in my
Mhm,
adult life. Like I think as I grew up, I was always aware that being this mixed identity meant something more,
mhm,
like more to others than it did to me sometimes, right? Like to
mhm,
some, having a white Jewish parent and a black parent, it like represented the growth of America and progressive
right.
values, right?
Mhm,
I know that my parents believed that we were in a post-racial world when I was born,
mhm.
and they quickly realized that that wasn't the case. But they were like, "Oh, like we
Mhm,
thought that it would be." different because maybe not even a decade before they got together, it wouldn't
Right.
have been legally allowed for them to be together. So they're like, we're
Mhm, mhm.
changing, right? And also, I exist in an identity that others want to suppress or oppress. And so I've always existed in a police body in some capacity.
Real.
Um, I remember when I was able to vote for Obama's second term, I felt really amazing. And I basically my birthday, because I'm in October,
Yeah.
voting's in November. So I was like right before the training team right before the election, so I was able to skirt on in, right? And my mom was very
Mhm.
much about the democratic process. She always has been. Sometimes a bit like too reliant on my taste. Like I think her commitment to democracy is like admirable. And I'm like, girl, it's a very like your commitment to democracy is like one that is like just shrouded in like what like it's shrouded in like an old system that I think is not that's are more antiquated than it is modern
Right.
or
Right.
supportive, right? But like I think about like voting like me, my dad, and my mom voted together, which was amazing. My dad
Mhm.
was not that man could not care about voting. Like I'm sure that man could not care about voting. He can't be bothered with it. But
Get
he
out of my
was
face with that
he's like,
shit.
okay, I guess someone else to do it. But he
Yeah,
was so
yeah.
thrilled to go
Mhm.
and cast his vote for Obama, right? He was so excited to do it. Like it meant a lot to him as a black man to vote for another black man.
Mm.
And so it's right. Like I grew up, and and I grew up also like I grew up also with my mom, right? My mom's first generation. Her parents survived the Holocaust, were
Mm.
forced from their
Mm.
home
Mhm.
to come to America, right? So growing up, she was always like, people hate Jewish people. Be careful. Don't discuss being Jewish, right? Like that is political. There was never a moment in time where I couldn't be political because something about
Mhm.
who I was existing at odds with the world around me. And
Mm.
so, so I think when people choose to be dispassionate about that statement and the person's political, I think it's I think like they're choosing ignorance to their own detriment
Right.
because respectfully and lovingly, whether you agree with it or not, the person was political for you.
Right.
Like no matter who you are in the world, like even cis straight white men, your identity is political because
Yeah.
you are the most politically weaponized
Mhm.
like identity in our country in our governmental system.
Right.
So like and like you fight to maintain power, which is a political act,
Mm.
and so right or as an act of politics. So it's like I think like I'm actually I'm so over people who don't believe the person wasn't political. I'm so for people who think that they actually can choose to like look away from politics because it will happen and infect them, right? And we're seeing that now, right? Like people who vote for Trump
Girl,
are
at your
realizing
door.
that
Literally. Mhm.
the things that are
Mhm.
not the way that they panned out, and it's
Yep.
like, yeah,
Yep.
girl, you voted for him because you thought
You
you
be
could get away with
safe.
being just passionate, and now you realize that you can't. Like
Mhm.
that's what happens because like listen, you don't have to be engaged. The ones who make your policies and your laws are engaged. And
Mm.
so I see it as like why wouldn't I want to be engaged one? But also like why wouldn't I want a stake in what's happening to me in my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and I know some and I like voting isn't the only way to do that. And I think I want to be really clear, like voting in some cases has proved to be non-supportive of people, and in some cases it does, right? Like I believe deeply in local elections. I
Mm.
believe deeply in state elections, right? I believe deeply in like when we vote for state and local stuff that actually directly impacts us. Federal stuff sometimes feels more challenging. But we like we see every day how it impacts us, right? Like I think a great example is to your point is Prop 50. If we chose not to be engaged, we would not. And this, and I'll say this was a big turnout for people too.
Right.
Like your point, right? Like Fresno, other cities that were typically in red cities voted blue. I mean, and I don't know if I'll say blue or red in this moment because it's like I don't, like I feel like that Prop 50 is like not really partisan in that way. It's more about just uh, defeating Trump or countering Trump, which is
Right. Right.
whatever.
Countering. Yeah.
But but
They
people
voted on
were
the right side. They voted on
people
the
were
right
in
side.
line for
Yeah.
an hour, if not longer,
Mhm.
to vote. And that
Yeah.
was amazing. Like I even for the elections I've seen like for the gubernatorial, for the presidential elections last time, like I didn't see lines like this. I mean, just did a
Nope.
little drop off ballot. People
Mhm.
were like, I'm going to get in line and wait an hour or longer to vote, to literally
Mhm.
vote for one prop. Like that says something a lot
Yeah.
about where we are in this moment and how people want to be engaged and people
Yeah.
understand that the personal is political as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of people like to your point about getting in and just voting for one prop. I think a lot of people are starting, like I said earlier, they're recognizing that this is deeper than what people got comfortable. That's the thing I was gonna
Mhm.
say. People got
Mhm,
real
mhm.
comfortable. People thought, "Oh, times have changed. We're beyond this. We're better than this, blah, blah, blah." And I think people for these last 10 months have looked up and said, "Oh shit.
Yeah.
We got
Agreed.
we've gotten too comfortable." And we've recognized that voting, and I know voting is not the only way. I want to make sure that I make that very clear because I think people may listen to this and they may think, y'all are heavily relying on voting as being the only option. I'm like, no, there are multiple things that we should all be doing actively at the same time to make sure that we're protecting not only just democracy but protecting humanity. And I think folks kind of got away from that, and I think now with the Prop 50, with Mamdani, with all of these things that we're starting to see, kind of the fact that a black woman was voted in as was a governor. She's a governor,
I
right?
believe, yeah, I
Yeah,
believe the governor,
right.
yeah.
I think it's Virginia or one of the like this kind of stuff. People are starting to turn and go, and I mean, and we'll be talking about Mississippi later. Like people are starting to wake up in ways that I think they kind of went to sleep on in 2020, 2021, 2022, and
Mhm.
thinking we would be okay and thinking we would be safe. And so I just want to, before we go into like the meat of the show, I just want to shout out anybody who is doing whatever they can right now to protect humanity. And what I mean by that is,
Mm.
because again, I have a lot of concerns and I have a lot of thoughts about the Democratic Party. And so I'm not going to say it's just democracy because it goes beyond that. I think we're seeing disabled folks, we're seeing black folks, we're seeing queer folks, we're seeing fat folks, we're seeing non, like whatever you want to say, like everybody needs to work together to end what's happening right now. And if again, even if this is just the blip in it, because our world is still terrible, it feels good in this moment to just see people coming together to do
Mm.
what needs to be done to help us try to get things back on track. So with that being said, now that we got our producers working to get Mom Donnie on the show, seriously, we are working our asses off to get that man on the show. If
Ooh,
somebody who is a listener has connects to the NYC, Mariel, wherever,
we'll fly back real quick, y'all.
look, the way I'd book that flight so quick if he said yes to being on our show,
I almost died on my return flight. I don't
look,
care. I'll go back. I'll go
we'll
back.
turn right back around and be back in New York to do this in person. So, yes, we are still working to get him on the show. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more show. Back in a sec.
And we are back, fam. So this week, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we are staying in our political bag as we pursue the topic of civic engagement, honey. A
Yes,
time that might
that
feel
good
kind
old
the good
CE.
old yeah, civil rights, honey.
Civil
Yes.
rights,
The
bricks and
girls
all,
can't
bitch.
take it today, honey. The girls can't take the civil rights. They can't
Yeah.
take the politics of it all. At a time
Yes.
where things might feel hopeless.
Mm.
As many of you know, I dabble in political activism, being on
Mhm.
2 boards of local organizations and then working for a national nonprofit. And John and I are in the same boat, which is why I think this would be a great conversation.
Mhm.
And me and you both have had conversations about how tough it can be to see a bright light in this moment, especially with all that's going on. So I want to pose this question for us as we think about the slight wins we have seen this week. How do we keep the hope? Especially in moments that might feel like things will never change. And,
Mm.
for me, I'm thinking about like with the win of Prop 50 and Mamdani, I felt hope spark in me again. I want to be really mindful of the thoughts I have around Mamdani because I know the Jewish community is divided on his winning.
T.
Um, I like they're like especially the Jewish people that live in New York, they're very divided. There are many who are like, yes, we want him to win, and there are many who are like, we don't know what this means for us.
Mm.
I think we can't deny that his marketing strategy was brilliant and his campaigning was amazing. I truly believe he represents a different kind of political that
Mhm.
we haven't seen before. Like even with AOC, right? Like I
Mhm.
think AOC is a person who I felt this level of joy for, but like the way he's done it has been really powerful and like leveraging social media for that too. And I saw a thread the other day that I really the person was like, "I'm so happy you won, but sad because now I have to hold him accountable."
Real.
And I really appreciate that viewpoint, and I think that's something that gives me hope is that like his winning, right? People can acknowledge that acknowledging that while people celebrate his winning. The real work begins now.
Yeah.
Make sure he makes good on his promises, right? Like, will he be who he says he is, or will he be like every other politician? I think what gives me hope is that people feel more engaged now to do this.
Right.
People are like, you know what? We have someone who made his whole like his whole is it like foundation or whatever, like whatever, like his whole like
Platform, yes.
his whole platform
Mhm.
was about being of the people. And
Yeah.
so now the people get to say either you're of us or you're not, right? Are
Right.
you just like every other politician known to humankind, or will you actually be for us? And I think that because that has to keep the hope that knowing that people are engaged enough to say we're willing and happy and eager
Mhm.
to hold him accountable to what he says he'll do.
Yeah. Well, but I want to say for him and a few other politicians I've been following, I do appreciate that they've been open to being held accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, you know, I think him saying, I know I can't fix everything, but I'm going to try to fix some things. I think
Mhm.
that for me is enough to say, okay, girl, you know, go off, do what you need to do. But I will say that I love I love your thought on this because it is important for us to recognize that, you know, two truths can exist at the same time. Can we be excited and happy that he won? Yeah. But can we also be worried and concerned that there are other folks who are a little worried and concerned about his win? Yeah, that can live there too. What I will say, and again, I have other thoughts about it. I'm gonna save it for the end of the show, so we don't go off the rails now. But I will say that I definitely think it is important for us to recognize that we needed something different, and I think
Mm.
what across the board, not even just with Mondani, but I think across the board, we need something different. And even now, people in LA are saying, "Where is our Mamdani?" Like, well, we
Mm.
need someone else who's going to show us something different. But I was going to say, I feel this conversation is perfect because this topic keeps coming up around me. This whole notion of like, I feel like so many of us see little glimpses of hope, and folks are saying it's hard to kind of hold on to that. And I know for so many people, specifically the folks I live with and people that I know and people I work with, they feel hella vocal over the years and have taken a step back because they feel like their voice in some way has been silenced, and they feel like they
Mm.
just don't have the energy to keep screaming into the vortex that we need to do something different. Like you said, we need something different. And so I think some might see that, even me, right? I've had people say, you're not as vocal as you used to be about all of these things, and I've gone, yeah, like I've had to step back to protect myself because bitch, I'm tired. But I don't want folks to mistake that as giving up. I think we definitely you know, we need to first really think about this notion of how do we protect ourselves, how do we protect our livelihood, how do
Mm.
we protect us, and that's why I
Mhm.
said taking in these moments of like, even if it's just like you said, if it's a very divided and a very complicated hope, because that's what I want to say, it's a complicated
Mhm.
hope,
Mhm.
we can still dance with that, right? We need to protect our spirits, whatever that might mean. We need to be able to find joy, like you said earlier, in whatever way we can. And so I think that this is so important for all of us in this moment, especially going into next year, you know, really saying to the universe that these nasty people can't have my joy in any moment, right? In any
Mm.
given moment and circumstance. If there's something about this moment that is bringing me joy, I deserve to have it. And
Mhm.
I think that's how you start to protect your hope, because it reminds us that there is something better on the other side of all of this. And I think that's the thing.
Mm.
I will kid, I kid, even going to New York, Jordan, like I was so beat down before we left for New York. And when I say beat down, it just, you know, like I said, the hits keep coming. For those of you who've not, you know, my speaking engagements have dried up, job opportunities have dried up, like all of these things, you know, because people see me as a DEI leader, right? Even though I do so much more than that. I mean, I have an award winning podcast, for God's sake. I do so much more than just DEI stuff. And because the world has labeled me that, the world has said, stay away from John Paul, right? And I was feeling very just beat up, really is a great way to say it. And I had to say, like, seeing how people responded to us being in New York, seeing how people responded to our last episode, seeing how people respond, you know, how again the wins. I'm really trying to just I like the way I'm kind of stepping back and saying, I've got to figure out how to find joy and continue to keep finding it, and remind myself that even in all of this, when we get to the other side of it, there's going to be something that's so glorious that for me is what's been keeping me going for these last couple of
Mm,
weeks, is knowing that bad can't last
mm,
always. It can't last always. And
mm.
so yeah, that's kind of my soapbox on that. But I do have a question for you. I would love to ask, what stories, I keep telling people, because people ask me that all the time, like, how are we going to get through this? And I keep telling them, we got to go back to the ancestors. We got to go back to the work before us. So what stories of the past have helped you hold light, have given you hope for the future?
It's not really so much about stories, but rather about just like cycles. Like we know
Mhm,
the phrasing of history repeats itself. In some cases, right, the phrasing is history is doomed to repeat itself, and I do see that very true sometimes.
mhm,
But it's not just one sided. Like it's not just doom that repeats; it also repeats joy too, right?
mhm,
Like we go through a cycle of hurt and heartbreak and then a cycle of like joy and excitement. And so I think like something that helps me hold on to hope or give me hope for the future is that knowing that what we experience right now is just so sorry, so much yawning today is a really tiring day.
mhm,
There's so but like everything is gonna happen again in some ways, right? Like the good will come back around. I
mhm,
also realize like right now, like we're in this fall season and like the seasons in general, but like fall particularly is one of my favorite seasons because this is not just because it's beautiful and gorgeous and leaves are in colors, but because like it's a actually big reminder of how ephemeral life is or how
mhm,
temporary life is and how
mhm.
constant changes, right? Like
Yeah,
the
real.
flourishment of spring begins to decay and the leaves that were on this tree in abundance begin to fall off and change colors and make space for new ones to grow. And so it's like it kind of like shows you like the circle of life and it moves us all. But like that's really how I feel is I think that like so it's like yeah, it's not the story itself. It's just like the act of life itself gives me hope because I know that something else will change that will be better and good for us. There's always gonna be more in the best way. And
Mhm,
also, I was talking with a friend recently about this similar thing too, because they're like, I feel hopeless. And like we were having a debate because they were saying that they feel like public opinion around queer and transness has gotten like less. And
mm.
part of me is like, I hear what you're saying, and my other part of me is like, but is that just informed by like your own like local experience, right? Like
Right.
mine, like I'm surrounded by so many queer people. Like I do not. I'm like part of me is in some cases to my detriment, like a little bit like utopian, where I'm like, are are people caring less about us? Because I see us everywhere, and
Right.
I'm as always all I surround myself by, right? Versus like I don't, I'm not. I wonder if they do, or if they have a different community than I do, and so but it's so it's like, but like I also get hope from that of like they may feel like there isn't something, but I feel like there is something, or vice versa, and that means I know that that things will change.
Mhm, mhm,
Also a lot of music, a lot of Sam Cooke, Changing Will Come. I listen to a
mhm.
lot of Sam Cooke. That helps me hold on to the future. I listen to a lot of speeches about change as well.
Yeah.
So those are ways that help me, and I think on the heels of this question, I would love to ask you just to your point about your beat down, you're celebrating wins this week and the wins that we have this week. How does celebrating the small wins like we saw this week help you sustain hope during the setbacks you've had or the hostile moments we keep seeing?
Yeah. I think doing exactly what you mentioned just now is so important. I think really, and I keep telling people, like even thinking down to, so many of you, and I'm again, I'm gonna say this publicly. I mean, and if people, I have been job searching for months, right? And I have been trying to find something that can pay more, because if you don't know, living in California is not cheap. And I keep telling people
Mhm.
it is expensive to be a Californian. It is safe here. It is safer here, I should say. It's
Yeah,
safest
say
here.
fur.
Safer. It's not always safe, but it's safer here. But it's also hella fucking expensive. And so, all that to be said, it was my community who helped me get a job interview, right? It is ultimately going to be the community that is literally like what I keep telling myself, community is going to be the only thing that saves us, because
Mhm.
ultimately these systems are not made for us to thrive. These systems are not made for us to be well. These systems are not made for us to be able to actively soar. And so when I think about, what Martha and what Sylvia did for, black trans and black and brown queer people in New York in the early 1970s. When I think about what Bayard Rustin did to help queer people on the back ends of the
Mm,
civil rights movement, all of those individuals, right? That for me is what I think about, first is community, and really
mm,
allowing myself to align myself in community in whatever capacity, whether it's work, whether it's friendship, whether it's this podcast, whatever. Community has been really big for me. But I will also say, really reflecting too on what Bayard was doing that made the Million Man March so successful, right? Like the key word here is doing, right? What are we doing to make sure that we can move the needle a little bit forward, even especially now that we have people trying to pull that needle back. I think
mm,
about what was Coretta doing in the kitchen to make sure Martin had what he needed to keep going, right?
mm,
Who's gonna be, in whatever capacity, right? Whether it be love or not, who can be that Coretta for you? Who's gonna pour into you in the moments? And so, like I said, I think what was so as much as you said, we had a really good time, and you looked over and you're like, we really are sisters. It was the ways that we poured into each other in those 5 days that we were together that really
mm,
made me say, yo, I really have a good team of, like, even thinking about, shout out to our old producer Bay and our new producer Joey. Like, they poured into us one of the days we were there, the
mhm,
entire day Joey stayed with us. That for me felt like that's love. Like that's these are the
mm,
people who got me and see me. And I joke often that it's like we're losing recipes, but in a lot of ways, it's like, no, a lot of us need to go back and study the cookbook. We really have to get back to
mm,
that. And so I say all of that to say is that we have to call on the ancestors, and we got to sit with them. We got to let them guide us and remind us how powerful we really are, because a lot of us are
mm,
forgetting that the reason why these people are acting and responding the way that they're responding is because they know how fucking powerful we are. They know how much we've been through, and yet we still keep showing up. And that's what I have to tell myself a lot. People don't have an issue with me per se. People have an issue with how I show up in the world. Someone I'd
mm,
reshared this as a reel, but someone was saying, people wish they had the freedom that you have, and I think that's a lot of it. We're too free, we're too happy, we're too well, quote unquote. And I think
mm,
folks are doing whatever they can to take us back, but also our ancestors
mm,
gave us the blueprint on how to navigate that, and I think we have to go back to those lessons. I think, again, I said this earlier, we've gotten comfortable, and them niggas saw a open door and they've snuck in, and we
mhm,
can't let them make shop in our homes, in our heads per se. And I think that's the thing that's constantly I'm having to tell myself day in and day out to keep going, is don't let these people make a home in your head. Do not let these people get in your head to make you think that everything you've fought for, everything that you've accomplished
mm,
means nothing in this moment. And I think that's what I saw this week. Like, as much as people have tried, and that's the other thing I'll say too, as much as people have tried to downplay Mamdani did the work to become the mayor. That's the thing. He's worked his ass off, whether it be in education, whether it be in his campaign. He had to do the work. And so that's the thing. Like, it's not just him wishing to be mayor. It's not just me wishing to have an award-winning podcast. We are doing the work. And I think that for me is a message from beyond, if I may,
mm,
you know.
mm,
And so I know this probably feels very proselytizy, very Christiany. Y'all know how I feel about that. But I think we have to sometimes stop in this moment. And like I said, I know me and you have had these conversations offline where we're tired. And so I'm like, we had to have a conversation about how can we re-energize each other as we have listeners who probably are listening and saying, I can't do this. I don't think I can do this for another 3 years. I wanted to make sure that we had a moment to say, yo, take this win and and really reflect on it. And so I'm curious to ask you, as we continue to move through the segment, how do you transform the feelings of turmoil or grief that you have into renewed determination? I know you've been through a lot in the last few years. I mean, you've lost your father, you've had some other personal things pop up, and so, and then also now having to deal with the intersections of being Jewish and having all of the things that you've been seeing. I'm sure it impacts you too, and so I would love to ask you that. And I want to be clear in asking this question. I'm not telling people that they need to pretend like shit is not draining. We are all tired. I mean, I'm not trying to call you out, but you're yawning, and you're yawning because I even think we're fucking jet lagged. We're so
Yeah,
tired.
I was like,
We
"Girl,"
are
I was like,
so
"I'm so." Remember, I said New
tired.
York time and just drove back from Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
and
like, "Whew, I'm
we are
tired."
tired. And I mean, I've been all over the place these last 2 days between meetings and between having to deal with home stuff. And so, like, I get it. We're both really tired, but I would love to ask, I wanted to ask you that question from the scope of having a conversation about how to move beyond letting the state of anger or frustration or idiocy, really this idiocy that we're seeing every day, be our permanent residence. So what are you doing to
Yeah,
keep yourself renewed?
big question. So I have several thoughts, and one's like I'll get to the thought that I put in the show flow. But the first I have is I think a lot about James Baldwin's commentary on rage, right? When he says to be black in America is to be a constant state of rage.
T.
And I think when we say like letting go of the anger to be our permanent state of residency, I don't always know if I actually want to let go of that because part of me actually thinks
Mm,
like maybe not anger because like I think anger is a temporary emotion and rage is a state of being. But, like I'm kind of always rageful, and I think rage actually is a permanent residency of mine. But
mm,
I'm also multidimensional, right? Like rage is a permanent residency, as is joy and curiosity and wonder. Like I have a lot of rage inside me, and I think I'm actually tired trying to suppress that. And I think, right, like when I use that is part of my fuel to be determined, right? It's not about turmoil or grief, but it's about saying like, rage actually does fuel me to want to fight for a better world.
right.
Rage fuels me to want to counter systems of power. Like I just held an event recently for work where we discussed structures of power
Mm,
and leadership and authority. And we discussed models of leadership that focus on sharing power with others or mutual aid models that focus on interdependence because we know that the structures we have right now are not built to sustain us or support us, right?
real.
To your point about how did Bayard do this or Correa do this or how Sylvia and Marshall do this, right? That's because they said we're going to subvert what we think is the leadership model that we've seen
Right.
do something different, right? Like like Coretta as much as a leader as Martin is a blessed memory. Like they both are big leaders. Yes, Martin was the one that was like that was on the pulpit preaching, but Coretta is the one that sustained him.
T.
That is leadership right
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
Sylvia and I mean, especially Marsha was often pouring from like a dwindled cup,
Yeah.
from often like a broken cup, but she still made sure people were fed and had a roof over
Somewhere
their
safe to
heads, right?
sleep.
Like,
Yep.
right, like put somewhere just to
Mhm.
sleep, like that. Even though if it meant she didn't have a safe place to sleep sometimes, right? I'm not saying that that's like the best form of leadership, but I'm saying like that form of leadership is something that I find really, really inspiring and powerful to say like I'm going to be in the trenches with you so I can make us both safe, right?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
and like we're like we as what I said about the whole point about being interdependent, and I know, I have this question for it's important for us and people who are listening of like how to keep hope alive, like in the words of Jesse Jackson. But I want to also name I was reading his address where this comes from, right? And this is after Martin was killed. He had Rosa Parks come up on the podium to celebrate and acknowledge her as well too, and he has this line in his address that says, "Progress will not come through boundless liberalism nor static conservatism,
Mm.
but the critical mass of mutual survival." Right. And like this is probably from the 70s, I think, right? So
Yeah.
it's like wow, to like recognize like he's saying that progress won't come from the left being so angry and moving. It won't come also from the right being unmoving. Like it comes from the idea that we have to mutually survive.
Mm.
And I think there's a pathway forward, keeping, like that's a pathway toward keeping hope is the knowledge that we are all striving to survive. And when we put down the sides to survive, so much more is possible, right? I'm also
Mhm,
thinking
mm.
of the way, my friend and I had at the one I was having a debate with, we had this conversation about like they felt like they're like, Jordan, like, what do you think the queer community needs to do to like win our fight? And I was like, I don't, and I was like, I don't think we're doing anything wrong. Like, I don't think we do anything. Like
No.
the
Right.
issue, the issue isn't us, girl. Like, but
Mhm.
and like they were saying they're saying they feel the issue is our messaging. And I was like, our messaging is fine and consistent.
Hello.
The messaging against us, the one that is a problem.
Mhm.
But I was thinking more and more, right? Like I was to a point. I was like, I think we're spending trying like they saw it as we have to convince people of our humanity. And I'm like, I don't have any desire to convince
Not
them of
here
anything
for
that
it.
they should
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
know. But what I think what we could do, right, instead of saying right, like instead of trying to convince them towards our movement that we have, part of me is like remind them that they're actually already doing that movement. I was
Right.
listening to a podcast or something recently that was, and I'm not sure where it was, but it was very powerful. Of like, there was a point where they're making of where they're talking about mutual aid, and they're saying, like MAGA folks are against mutual aid, but MAGA people are actually doing mutual aid themselves, right?
Right.
Like if the people in MAGA, if their friend loses a job, they will help them get a job right away.
Right.
If the Proud Boys are in jail, someone will
They will
help them
help
get out
bail
of
them out.
jail. They'll
Yeah.
crowdfund to get out of jail.
Uh-huh.
That's mutual aid. And so
Yeah.
it's on my girl. The messaging is actually, hey diva, you're trying to stop us from doing the same thing that you're actually doing yourself.
Right.
Like we're actually trying to survive just like you are.
Mhm.
And so right, it's like I'm not here to convince you I'm not here to convince you that I'm worthy of living, but I'm telling you that the shit I'm doing is the same shit you're doing. So why are
Yeah.
you mad? Like
Mhm.
and like and you know and I think that comes
'Cause
down
you
to
bitch or
what
bitch,
bitch,
you
why you
mad?
mad? Cause my
'Cause
pussy
my
pop
pussy pops
severely
severely
and
and yours
yours
don't.
don't.
That's all I heard when you say that. I'm sorry. I'm so
And
sorry.
yours don't.
Yours
Because my
don't.
be, be, be,
Yes.
be- because my mutual aid serves others in your zone. Like exactly. But I mean like that I think that's like
Yeah.
how I transform my feelings of turmoil and grief into determination is realizing that like and like I think people might hate this, but like we have to stop thinking we're so different from those that like, we have something we're so different from like the
Right.
manga folks, right? Like
Yeah.
our values are very different. We're not the same values. Like we have people who are actually not so different. Like they're doing the
Mhm.
same tactics we're doing to save our community.
Mhm.
And so I think that to me, like I get just his point of saying progress only comes from the critical mass of mutual survival.
Right.
Because we actually do need each other to survive. Even
Mhm.
if we even if we are not like having aligned values.
T.
Which is hard. Some people will say fuck you for that, and that is fair. Like
Mhm.
I get a girl. But like
I love when you're so matter of fact. You're like, some people will say, fuck you, girl. And it's like, yeah, yeah,
yeah, you
yeah,
what you okay, what now? Fuck
yeah.
me. Okay, what now?
Okay. But we still
Like
need to survive,
but
bitch.
I'm like, okay, girl, like fuck me, but I'm still fine for little relations. So, like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Right.
You're her too, so are you. Like,
Right. Right.
yeah, this I humble myself and being like, listen, people can say fuck you and that's okay. Like, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like that doesn't impact my life. Like
Right.
it makes me sad. It
Yeah.
makes me sad.
Right.
And I feel bad about it. But like you saying
Mhm.
"fuck you" doesn't really change anything for
Right.
me
It
or
doesn't,
or
yeah.
for you. Like you
Yeah.
saying "fuck you" doesn't make
Okay.
life better
And
for
and
you.
we're still looking at each other, blinking slowly.
Like we're both still here, bitch, looking at each other. So what are we gonna do about
What are
it?
we
Like,
gonna do? Yeah, it's really that. I love that. So I will say I love the analogy when you were talking about when we talk about Marsha and Sylvia and the empty cup, or the crack cup. I think it's funny. Shout out to Very Delta because she was like, we're so people. She was like, Very Delta is for the girl who loves to look at the cup or the glass half empty, but it's also for the girl who's asking, where the fuck did the other liquid go? And I said, yes, that is very much the kind of girl that I am. I am
yes,
asking, where is
yes,
all of the liquid? Because why is my glass only half full? But anyway, all that to be
yeah.
said, shout out to our queen over there. I will say, I think one of the biggest things, and to your point, is really, and that's why, like I said, I was so happy for this trip. I've been so happy to have you as my co-host on the show. I only want to be around people who genuinely make me feel good, even in these
Mm.
moments that life is hard. And when I'm having a tough day, I have friends, friends who listen to the show, friends who don't. They will pour into me in different ways, regardless of if I'm truly telling them or being honest with them about what's going on in my life. And like I said, I definitely just want to say, like, I am so grateful that we got to have this weekend together, because not too many people on their podcast can say, oh, I flew out with my co-host and we did this and we went and did. No, like I saw that so much as a privilege, and it's something that literally restored me in a way that I don't
Mm.
think that would have happened if we didn't go together. I
Mhm.
mean, the labs, being in the back of the Ubers and not knowing where the fuck we were going. That first night, us getting in, like I don't know where we talked about it, but we definitely have said like the first night getting in was rough. And so all
Yeah,
of that to
we
me
could both
says like,
called it. You know what? And but I think that's it. Like
mhm,
the reason why I was like, I'm doing this is because I want this experience with you.
right, right.
And I knew like I was like, listen, Jordan, meet me in the mirror. It's been a rough time getting here, girl. Like you're exhausted. It was this was annoying as fuck. But like if you leave, you won't have this
This moment.
really transformative experience of your friendship with John.
Mhm.
And like that to me is like more important than anything.
Yeah.
And I left being like, yeah, I fucking knew it. I
Yeah.
knew I'd have an amazing experience with you.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
so so like all the BS that happened for before we got there was
Yeah,
worth it.
it was. It truly was, and I think it also shared with me, and I've been super emotional these last 3 days, and I don't know why. And it's probably because of the moon. We had a full moon
Mhm.
earlier this week. I will say, I think for me too, it's to recognize that I'm not alone in the fight. Like I kept looking over at you, and I kept going. And I think that's the thing, even as I'm watching you and I'm looking at you now, like, we've been friends for almost 10 years, but
Mhm.
to see the Jordan that I knew when I met you and to see the Jordan that I know now, even the Jordan who, won't return my text back on time, or oftentimes I'm just, hey, you're my sister. I can say that.
Call it like you see it, girl.
Yes,
Yes.
right. But
Yes.
also, I know if I called you, you'd be there, right? Um,
Yes.
Even though she sent me to the wrong Mexican food spot too. We're not gonna talk about that shit on the air. Um,
First of
she
all,
sent me to the
big
wrong
question.
place.
Where was the place we went to? We
We
went to several places,
we
so I gave you the place.
you did so. I'm with you when you're
Well,
right. However, you still gave me the wrong location. But anyway, I say all of that to say, like, you are my sister in it all, and it reminds me daily that I'm not alone in the fight. And it's just so refreshing to know I have someone who is so loving and so kind in this world, and that in so many facets of my life makes my life so much better. It's like
Mm,
I don't ever have to worry about, you know, whether it be online or whether it be off, I know you've got me. You know what I mean? And that's what I think this weekend really showed me, was really, it was like, like this person really has me in ways that I have not been able to like count on people in a lot of ways. And so it's just
mhm,
it, like I said, it was in the same thing with looking at Joey, like thinking about what Joey did the entire time we were in New York. Joey pretty much set up everything for us, getting in and leaving, and it was just so cool. I'm kind of mad they're not here listening today, because I mean, obviously,
mm.
the day that we're giving them all their flowers, they're not able to be on the recording, but that's neither here nor there. I'm sure they listen to the episode.
Yeah.
They'll listen to the episode, but I say all of that to say, like,
I hope they do, producer.
right,
I
right,
hope
right.
you do, producer.
But it's literally like, Joy was like our long lost cousin, right? It was like the cousin that we
Yeah.
met, the cousin we only kind of know through social media. And then when you got there, you're like, oh, this person's cool as fuck. And I was cool spending the whole day with them. Like, we literally ran
Mm,
around both uptown, downtown. Shout out
mhm,
to one of my friends who knows that I don't do public transportation. We were on several subways, honey. And it was cool. It felt like home, and it felt safe to be around y'all.
mm,
And it reminded me that even in this fucked up regime, in this fucked up, world we're living in, I have still found people in my life that provide peace and safety. And that for me is enough to feel hopeful. And so I'm hoping, kind of, I want to close on this note of this segment on this note. I'm hoping that anyone who's listening to this episode who is feeling very hopeless, or feeling like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to make it to tomorrow. I don't know how I'm going to make it to the weekend. I don't know how I'm going to make it, until next month, whatever the case may be. I'm hoping that they find that same safety and hope in these episodes. And if or when, that
mm,
we finally have to check out and we have to say, yo, we're not doing this anymore, I think it's going to be really beautiful for us to be able to say, go listen to episode 176, go listen to episode 150, go listen to episode, 6. And I'm hoping that
mm,
those episodes will fill you up. And so,
mm,
yeah, I'm just grateful that I get to help be a beacon of light for those who often right now feel so like they're left in the dark. So,
mm.
mhm.
All right, fam. Well, now that we have taken a moment to encourage you to hold on to hope and to friendship, we know that both of those won't pay the bills. So we gotta take a quick break and come back with more show in just a bit.
Okay, so this week in the What's Poppin' segment, we are going to talk about probably something y'all really could give two shits about, but hey, it is what it is. We needed content and this week was slow. So this week, I don't know if y'all saw, we're gonna talk about actually so this is the thing. I'm very cautious because like I want to talk about my queen, but I also want to make sure y'all understand that I'm talking about my queen and this is not a dig at her. So if anybody who listens to the show works for Parkwood or know people over at Parkwood, I want to make this very clear that this is not me digging at Beyonce. This is me just talking about what I see online and getting my good sister's feedback on what we saw for this week. So, like James Baldwin once said, I critique America because I love her. Some people critique Beyonce because they also too love her. And I would even say that she is America. And I feel like
Oh,
we kind of are in the
okay.
same woods in this conversation. So, as you may or may not have seen, Beyonce in traditional fashion is back on her internet asking the dolls to buy some of her Christmas items off of her website, and a lot of the girls are pissed. I am not the girl. So I want to make that very
Mm.
clear that I am not
I'm not
girls.
girls.
Okay. But a lot of the dolls and a lot of the girls are pissed. Many are calling it tone deaf in this moment. And I want to make it clear that I know that that terminology is problematic, but I am just a reporter. I have a degree in journalism. I'm just here with the facts. So please don't come for me. But I wanted to ask, why do you think so many people are pissed at her in this moment? I guess, yeah, that's the real question. Not even just her. There are a couple of other people I know who've been catching a lot of heat for just stuff. And I'm like, I'm trying to understand because I mean, my biggest thing is, and this is what I was going to say before I hand it over to you. We know that Beyonce is a capitalist. Like being an entertainer is all about capitalism, right? You got to spend money to be entertained. So I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm like, why are y'all surprised that she's now dropping clothes when she just like it's not it doesn't it make it make sense. She's a billionaire. Obviously, that's what her whole brand is capital. Like, yes, it's a cool brand. It's a beautiful brand. I love Beyonce. I love what she does. But I'm also like, why are y'all so surprised? Like, I don't know. I don't know if there's something I'm missing. And I just was like, I want to get my sister's take on this because I'm struggling with it a little. So
I don't care about this BS. People are dying, Kim. I could not care less.
my
I
diamond
think
earring is like
I'll
lost
say
it at the bottom of the sea. Uh-huh.
people are dying, Kim.
People
Like,
are
I
dying,
knew
Kim.
interesting choice of words that people have for it, calling it blank, which I'm like, so you're saying it's problematic, but using problematic language to call it problematic. So like,
I'm with you when you're
okay,
right.
glass house throwing stones. Let's
Right,
wake it
right,
up,
right.
girl.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, the girls can't take me, honey. The girls can't take me when I call them out like that. But really, like, we I'm just saying, face crack.
Stupid. Yeah.
Okay.
You,
We're like,
again, I'm with you when you're right. Yeah.
like also, yes, because it's a capitalist. We exist in capitalism. Bitches just are gonna buy the outfits, and also like calling it that word, like, or also like let's be honest, I you,
Buy it or don't.
like, well, but also like y'all think like she has a whole company. It's not just like her doing it right, and
Right.
this typically like, this is this really like, through the Ivy Park line? Is that
No,
what it is? Or
it's Beyonce.com.
okay, okay, okay.
So she's taken it's almost so the bigger I guess that's the
Oh,
other
she's
thing
like
that people
she like has like her own merch now, like her
yeah,
own
she
merch.
just if you go to Beyonce.com, you click on her merch, and it's all of the so like
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Actually,
basically it's all Christmas stuff.
yeah,
It's
Slay
Christmas
on
themed.
say the
Uh-huh.
mug. She has a bang thong set.
Mm-hmm.
People are listen. Would I pay $55 for a Slay on say distressed hat? I would not. Would I pay 150 for a hoodie that says Blue Ivy Manager? I would not. would I pay
I would not.
160 for a say Lumiere? I would not. Do I
I
know
have
those who
that, so,
would? Yeah, but like, do I know who would?
I
Yes,
have
I
it.
do know who
Mhm.
would. And like, guess what? It's their money, not mine. Like,
Right, right.
I just, I think, I mean, and you made this point before too. I just don't depend on any celebrity to be with the person that saves me. Like, we're like
We keep coming
respectfully,
back to that.
celebrities have a
Right.
responsibility to themselves and themselves only. I'd like to think that they have a responsibility to like the people around them and stuff, but like, but at the end of the day, Miss Girl has to make money, and I'm sure she thinks it's fun and joyful, right?
Mhm.
Would I pay $44 for a limited edition sacred candle set? Probably not either. You know, like other things I probably
Right.
just would not do. Would I pay $30 for a Capricorn incense holder? Why would $30 for an incense holder for a little hat? Like what? Why would I do that? But you know what? Like, but go
Why
off,
would I
girl.
do that?
But go
Yeah.
off, girl. Like, it's like
No,
would I pay $100 for a bin cozy robe?
I want that robe, but the
So
problem
do I.
is, one, it's
Maybe.
sold out, and two, I'm too big for it. And so, I to my
Mhm.
point that I'm more pissed off that she don't have she keeps releasing shit
What
that's
see
not my
now
size.
like the real issue here is why she's fatphobic. Like
That part.
if we, let's have that conversation. Let's
Yeah,
wake that up.
let's wake
Why she
that up.
fatphobic.
Fuck the
Okay.
fuck the can should she be releasing
Listen.
stuff in this moment when everybody is broke? That's yes, that's valid. But I want to have a conversation with whoever keeps putting shit up on that site and they can't so you can't find a supplier who provides 3x, 4x, or 5x. And I'll even say this: I would pay the extra $2, $3 for
Hmm.
something if it was a 3x, 4x, or a 5x. I would pay for it. Just to be able to
Because
say I have it.
listen, like we're all existing in capitalist world anyway. We're all
Yep.
existing in capitalist world anyway. So like
Mhm.
I can't change that. What I can gripe about is why can't I access the things
Why
like
can't I,
like
as a
like
capitalist, right? Why can't I have it?
like why can't I use my capital to get the thing?
Right. Why can't
Like
I
it's
use my
just
capital to get the things? And I think that's
doesn't make
also,
any sense.
I think, I get what the dolls are saying. I get it. Yes. Beyonce should be smart enough to know that people are broke. But my thing becomes when you are that fucking rich,
Okay, but respectfully, like we're all broke. We're
we're
all
all
broke to
broke.
her.
Right.
We're all broke. Like I don't think she's concerned. She's not. I don't think like
She's so far
I don't
removed
think
from
she's
it.
concerned. And truthfully, it's not. It's not her thing to be concerned about. Like
Right.
right. Like if she wanted to, if she let's be honest, if she wanted to change it, she would.
Right.
Like she's not
Hmm.
concerned.
Yeah.
Like and I don't have the capacity to be concerned about a celebrity who doesn't not concerned about me. Right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
she shows her concern through her music. I care about you all. Here's some music to make
To
you
make you
feel
feel better
better
about your
about
life.
life, right?
And that's all I'm giving
But
you.
like
Yeah.
but the day she has a business and the business has to
I
the business has to business. And like,
Gee,
like and like I'm not saying that's like right or good or okay, but I also think right, good, and okay are actually not the like right conversation for anybody. It's
right.
not about like what's right or wrong.
Mhm.
It just is. We can choose to participate in other
I
things.
just wanna know why is Beyonce, and I say this as somebody who, I hear the concern, but I
Mhm.
also wanna I wanna platform this, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Why is she the only one who we expect so much from? Like, I feel like we expect her to do everything the right
Mm.
way when there are so many other celebrities. Like, I wish people
You
held,
know,
you know what I mean? Am I
maybe
wrong for feeling that way?
what I'll give her is that I think I mean yes so you know you're not wrong. I hear you. Yes, I agree because I think like in some cases like she has done the right thing, and so I think it's also hard too, right? She God, I'm gonna mess up. Like she has given like a lot of money to like HBCU. She's given money for like scholarships. She paid money to like help in natural disasters, right? She's used her art to platform the impacts of natural disasters or black folks, right? So I think people's thought process is, but she has done the right thing, so why won't she keep doing the right thing?
Right.
And I hate to say it, but
It's not her job.
like like
Look at the
like that
government. The government should be,
but so it's really right. Like
am I
it's not her
wrong?
job.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's one, it's not her job. But two, she'll do the right thing when it looks good for her.
When she's called to do it.
That's just
Yeah.
what everyone it's what everyone does. She's not an activist. She's not saying I'm Beyonce, I'm an activist. She literally is like, I'm Beyonce,
I'm a
I'm a
singer,
bad bitch,
songwriter.
I'm an entertainer.
Right.
But
Who
she's not.
does good things when I
Yeah,
feel called to do good things.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Who sometimes does good things that feel good and look good to the world.
Yeah.
And I think, yes, I don't think it's wrong of us to say you have the money, girl, do the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wish Oprah would do more things.
T. Gail
Oprah be
too.
opening, get
I know Gail got the money.
right? Who was at that party, right?
Right.
Gail and Oprah. They were at
Mhm.
that Republican party. So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you can't be
Everybody.
surprised.
Yeah. I think
You
that's
can't
the
blame
thing.
the doll
Right.
for
Right. I just want people, I think people that I post this for people to just remember these people did not get rich by doing quote unquote good like I always have it I have it's so hard to say out loud, but rich people don't get rich by doing good work because
you know
there's no money in quote unquote good work. And what I mean by that is saying like our world doesn't we don't laud people who do like if that was the case, a lot of these nonprofits wouldn't be closing. That's what I'm saying. Like the
you
nonprofits who
know
are doing good work
yeah.
wouldn't be fucking broke.
I think a
If
lot
yeah.
about
So
the in the episode of Lost Culture Recess with Tina Fey, and they're little I don't think so, honey. Tina Fey makes it's a really quick line, a joke, but she says authenticity is expensive,
mm,
and it's hee ha, but it's also it's very true.
yeah.
Authenticity is expensive, girl. There are days where I'm like, I make it broke because I'm giving something to help somebody, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
for me, yes, I would rather struggle than see other people struggle. And at some
Mm.
point, I gotta stop doing that because at some point, I will
You
be
might need
broke
help. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna need help too.
Yeah.
So yeah, authenticity is expensive, girl,
Mm, mm,
and yes, you don't make hella money do it doing these things. There are very few multi-million dollar activists.
right.
Yeah.
Very few. Very, very few.
I honestly couldn't even name one.
I can't.
And I really wish I could. I wish I could.
Yeah.
But the question would become, if you're an activist, why do you have millions?
Yeah, that's the question that people want to ask because we see how, shout out to Patrice Cullors. We see how people treated her when she bought her house, right? Like people lost their fucking mind when she bought her home, and
Hmm.
same thing. Who's the baby who wears that coat? Oh boy, who he get the blue vest. What is his name? He's an
Blue
activist
vest.
too. He had a blue vest and was getting all these endorsements, like
What can I tell you?
from I forget what his name
What can I
is.
tell you?
I don't know his name. But anyway, he had a blue vest, and I remember people on social media losing their fucking mind when he was getting his endorsement deals and doing what he was doing.
Mm.
But again, it's this notion of if you're doing good work, you should be broke. And I wish we could change that, but I also like to keep saying has never purported herself as an activist. So why are you
Was it
D Ray
D
Matheson?
Ray?
That's his name.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I see. I see.
Did you search blue vest activists?
Do you see it? Do you see that literally is what I typed?
Yes.
How do you know that, bitch? That's crazy.
Yeah, because I just know it. I knew
I
you
literally
searched
typed
blue vest
blue vest
activist.
activist. Literally is
Stupid.
what I
The SEO of it all. But anyway, I like I said, I think we all need to really
I've never in my life have felt so called out because it's so also give me the most basic bitch type search,
yes.
blue vest
Yes,
activist, like a boomer.
stupid. I am you know what? I was gonna title this episode something else, but I am titling
Blue
this
vest
episode
activist.
Blue Vest Activist.
I really typed it in. I really
I'm
was like blue
screaming.
verbatim. And I took my glasses off so no one can see the reflection. So I was like, "How'd you know that? You literally can't see the reflection in my
Yes.
eyeballs. There's no trick here, girl." Oh my god,
Stupid.
stupid. Oh my god.
I am screaming. You are
Oh my god.
so dumb. But yes, yes.
Ashley
Ah,
took me
but
out.
anyway, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Now that I have closed all of my Beyonce.com, fucking, what do you call those things? Browsers,
Tabs,
child.
tabs.
Tabs. We are going to take a quick break and come back with our Yes Man Pam and our No Man Pam for this week. We'll be back in a bit. All right, y'all. So I am still laughing from our last segment. But anyway, this week for our Yes Ma'am and our No Ma'am Pams, we're going to stay in our activist political bags and we're going to just shout out all the things that we love. For those of you who are new here, our Yes Ma'ams are the things that we love. Our No Ma'am Pams are things we can't stand. And so, or things that we don't like. And so this week, I wanted to give my Yes Ma'am Pam to the folks out in Mississippi who broke the Republican Party supermajority in Mississippi Senate. So I'm not going to purport to act like I know what
Yes.
all of this means because I'm not like, I know about politics, but I don't be in it like that. I'd like to just keep my eye
Yeah.
on the stuff I need to know. So I don't even know what a supermajority is, but I do know that it is a big fucking deal because Mississippi is a huge battleground state. I do know that. And often states like this can make or break elections. And so the fact that there are now more Democrats than there are Republicans in that in particular area, it could potentially help us down the line. More than anything, it's the way folks came out there to rebuke extremism. That has been the thing that a lot of folks have been saying. The reason why they came out in droves the way that they did was to rebuke extremism. And in a lot of ways, working to restore checks and balances and show people, especially Black people, that their voices matter. And so, like I said, it's a big fucking deal. It's just a really big fucking deal that they came out and they voted the way that they did in order to really break or mess up the systems that were trying to overtake and overthrow checks and balances. And as you all see, they're still trying to. I also want to say this. I think it's really fucking cool that New York, I guess the voting system that they use, they said they're using a different one. They used a different one because the people who used
Oh.
the last voting systems that they had, I guess they have ties to MAGA. So it's like
Oh.
people are starting to
Oh.
become very quick and hip to the ways that
Conscious.
folks are
Yes.
doing things, and it's really cool to see that Black people are showing up. And
Mm.
it does bother me. I'm not gonna hold you. It does bother me that it is us again who's coming out to save folks. But it's really fucking cool to just see that places that traditionally don't give a fuck about us are starting to show a little bit of care and trying to make sure that we have what we need. So happy about that. My No Man Pam. Okay, so I want to make sure that I make this very clear that I was very, very intentional about how I typed this. And so I want to make sure that I don't overstep or I don't make anyone feel a certain type of way about what my No Man Pam is this week. I want to make it very clear that so the through line of what I'm about to say is I see through it. Okay. I understand the concerns that people have about Mamdani. I get it. I hear it. I want to make it very clear that I'm like, yes, there have been people who have asked him about stuff that has happened over there, over in Palestine. That's what I'm alluding to. And I don't want to spend time talking about that because that is not something that and I want to keep saying it. I'm not educated enough to be able to get into the minutia of all of that. Okay? So I want to leave that there. What I want to make a point is that I am sick of people using parts of their identity to hide their racism. And what I mean by that is, i.e., Deborah Messing. It would be very different if this woman said, okay, Mamdani has platformed this and platformed this and platformed this, and I don't think any of those things serve the Jewish community. Okay, I hear you, Deborah Messing. I hear you. But where her what's the word, the basically her racism, her bias, that's the word I was looking for, her bias jumped out is when she starts talking about, well, I don't think that he's qualified and I don't think this and I don't think that. And it's like, okay, girl, that's where I'm starting to see your bias. Because honestly, all you could well, where was he? What has he talked about 9/11 and blah blah blah? And it's like, no, girl, he's not running for president. He is running for the mayor of New York City. So what he's been talking about is all of the shit that's going on in New York City that he needs to do work around. What you're talking about is how you don't see it for Muslim people. You could have just said that and kept it pushing, right? And that's the thing I guess I really wanted to say. Like, I'm sick and tired of people utilizing elements of their identity to hide the fact that they don't like a specific person or a specific race of people or a specific kind of people. What I hear when I heard her talking was that she has issues with Muslim people. Let's name that. Okay. Um,
Mm.
now, if we were to go to him and say, "What are you going to do?" Now, say for instance, he was running for presidency, and they said, "What are your thoughts on the war?" And he skated past it, light his ass up. Okay, like you're supposed to be the president of the country, and we're asking you questions about this war that's going on over there in Palestine and how we're funding it. What are you going to do to end it? That's okay. Let's have that convo. But Mamdani is a mayor of NYC. He is talking about what he's talking about is I need to make sure everyone in NYC can afford to live somewhere, including the Jewish people who live in Crown Heights. We want to make sure they have affordable housing. That's the conversation I want to have. Now, if you were to talk to me and say, "Okay, Mamdani, I'm going to ask you this question. Jewish people are being pushed out of Crown Heights because of the cost of living and because of this, that, and the other, and no one is there to protect them, or people in Crown Heights are being killed for being Jewish. Let's have a conversation about that," right? That for me is valid. That's a valid thing to ask a mayor of a city. How are you going to protect these Jewish people living in Crown Heights? These Hasidic Jewish people that are being attacked. That's a conversation, but that's not what she's saying. You're talking about all this other shit around Mamdani that has nothing to do with his campaign. So why I'm so hyped up about it is I'm just sick of I'm really it really irks me when white people specifically do this shit. When they see someone who is very, very clearly very, very, very educated, very clearly has ran a great campaign, and they find ways to undermine them. That's what I'm pissed off about. That's my no man Pam this week. And I'm gonna go a little long because I got something else I want to say too. It's same in line, but it's not. I'm really, it really irks my soul. And also, Michael Rappaport, shut your bitch ass up. Shut the fuck up, because you remind me of that old bitch. What's her name? Who only come out like a hedgehog? Or every time she only come out every time it's time to vote.
Jill Stein.
Jill Stein. You ain't said shit up until what, a week before Mamdani was supposed to be elected. Where were you out on the campaign trail? What the fuck were you doing for the people of New York City since you got so much shit to say? Like it really gets under my skin when all of these people start to have all of these qualms and all of these concerns. And it's like, if you got all these qualms and concerns, Deborah Messing, you could run for mayor. Michael Rappaport, you could be the mayor. Why don't you fucking do something? Why does it always have to be on us to do something for everything? So that's that. I know I'm going off. I know I'm Beyonce heated, but it really irks me when people try to platform their identity as a way to further like racism or xenophobia. And it's like, girl, you already know what he's up against. Knock it off. Knock it off. The other thing I want to say, if there's anybody who listens to this show, I know someone hit me actually, so I want to shout out to April. April Rain. I don't know if any of you know who April Rain is, but she's a good friend of mine. She actually was the one who told me I needed to cancel. This is segue. It's another thing that I'm going to go off on the air about. I went off about it on social media, but I'm going to go off on it online. Long of the short of it was I got a massage this week. The person who was giving me a massage, very, if you want to see the whole story, go to my Instagram and I'll talk about it. But long on the short of it is, there is the man who was giving me a massage. I picked up very clearly who he voted for and how he felt about me. Not only just on vibes, but by something I saw in the room. He had a cup that had a sticker on it with a gun, and it says "my right to use" or something like that. And FYI, the right was spelled wrong. It was spelled RIGTH instead of HT. So, there.
My rife to youth.
I don't even. Part of the reason why we are where we are in this country is because people need education. Niggas don't read. Niggas ain't going to school the way they supposed to, and that's how we got here. But what I want to say in this moment, along coming off of my going off, is I understand you work. Like, I understand people got to work, and I understand people need jobs. but you have made a choice to work in a public place. So if you're working for a public organization or a public entity, leave those beliefs at home.
Mm.
That's literally where I'm at. What I mean by that and what I say by that is that if you don't like Muslim people, but yet or you don't like black people and you're working at Massage Envy, you need to know that black people are going to come in and book with you. So if you don't like black people, you need to go find a job where you don't have to interact with black people. Okay? Because it's a public service. You I know I'm not welcome in Chick-fil-A. I'm not going to go there and order food. That's just not who I am. Also their food is nasty, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is you got to know that you work with the public. So don't have a problem with me for being me, for spending my money with an establishment, and you have an issue with me for who I am. I'm really sick of racism. I'm really sick of it all. I think this year has really just I've seen the worst in people, and I even said it. It may be COVID. It may just be this regime we're living under. I don't know what it is, but I'm just sick of it. I'm really sick of it, Joho. And I know I've gone on long, and you're probably tired of hearing me bitch and moan. Um, but I'm sick of it. But anyway, what are your yes ma'ams and your no ma'am pams?
I first have to say I was laughing earlier because I was looking at the Deborah Messing crash out, and someone was like she has like over like 90 stories. And so the tweet the tweet was the tweet is a picture of Deborah Messing's like 100 stories, and the tweet is she said 431st of all.
Yeah.
And I was like, not 431st of all. And I was like, that fried me, and I was like, I have to stop
To
laughing
be that
because that
mad, honey.
to be that and over 90 stories is wild.
190 stories? Wow. Wow. The
It's
silence is so
wild.
fucking loud.
It's wild, like
Yeah.
girl. But
Get a hobby.
it's so people were like she's single handedly keeping stories alive, or she's breaking Instagram like with that. So I mean, I just want to say like, yeah, I'm sad. What a fall from grace she's had.
Yeah. Ah!
Like,
I see what you did there.
whew,
Wow,
I
what a
bet you
fall
that
from
pause.
grace.
Everyone's gonna be like, oh, I get it now too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, truly, just like it's just sad to see because she's been like a queer icon for
Yeah.
so many years in some ways, and like and now she's
Not
just falling, yeah. But yeah, but also like so many people have the same plight where they are an
Mhm.
icon and then do some wild shit.
Nicki Minaj.
Um,
Mhm.
yeah, that was saddening, girl, saddening.
Mhm. Call a spade
Anywho,
a
okay,
spade. Mhm.
y'all, you know what? So I'll have to say my yes ma'am Pam. Honestly, y'all. I don't know. I don't have much to be yes about today.
Okay.
I'm just happy to be here. My no ma'am Pam, I will say, to the ADL and their Mamdani monitor.
What is that?
Um, so the ADL, and the Definition League, one of the largest Jewish organizations, which I will say like controversial organization for a lot of reasons. As part of the response to what happened to the election, their national organization is doing a Mamdani monitor to make sure that he does what he says he'll do. And I'm like,
Um,
okay, but I doubt you would do a Cuomo counter if it was
right.
Cuomo. Like I
Right.
just like it's like the singling out, and I don't know, I don't understand how that looks problematic. But video is not my favorite organization anyway, so
Real.
that's on that. It's most I can say. Most I can say. Anyways, wrap this bitch up because my computer says my disk space is about to run out. So, ooh, girl.
Not disk space. Okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, with that being said, please send us your thoughts, feedback, and email to blackfatfitpod@gmail.com. You can also send us your thoughts via social medias by interacting with our posts on
Media.
Instagram and Threads, by also going down to the YouTubes and leaving comments and doing all of the things. You can find us all across your favorite socials by using the handle Black Fat Femme Pod, BLK Fat Femme Pod. Queen Joho, where can the dogs find you this week?
As always, my loves, you can find me at Joho Daniels across all socials, my website, johodaniels.com, or if not there, you'll find me sporting my fresh Fabletics fits because she's a Fabletics men's promoter
Amen,
doll.
amen.
Okay?
How you doing?
How
Yes,
you
and
doing?
you can find me and details about my book, about where I will be, or how to book me, how to bring me to your organization, honey.
Okay?
Whether it be online or not, how to work with me, honey. You can find out by going to www.drjohnpaul.com. You can also find me at Dr. John Paul on all socials. I am on Instagram, I am on Threads, I am on TikTok. Even though I don't want to be on TikTok, I'm still on there putting out content for you all to watch.
Mm.
Go buy the book. Also, watch my spot on ABC Hulu, Our America, who I am meant to be. It is very, very, very inspirational, and it talks all about how this show became what it is. I can't promote that enough. We want to thank our super producer Joey Pad for making this shit pop every single week, and we want to thank iHeartMedia for keeping us up on the air. Cause, honey, let me tell you, yeah, it's
Yeah.
rough out here in these streets.
It's rough, girl.
It's rough. It's rough. So we're thank you, iHeartMedia, for making sure that you keep our lights on. You're keeping us with the money in the pockets. We would also like to shout out our wonderful editor, Chris Rogers, because without him, we would have no audio or no visual down to the tubes of you. Head over to YouTube and watch last week's episode. Watch the week before that. Make sure though, run those numbers up, honey. Run them up. Tell your uncle, tell your auntie, tell somebody to go watch our show. This has been another one. Stay black, fat, femme, and fabulous. And remember what, Joho?
We may not be your cup of tea, girl, but that's okay. Nothing niggas ahead with let's tell them to grab a V8.
Yes. V8 is on sale down to the supermarket. Y'all may need it.
We love a deal. We love a deal.
Tomato. Nom. I don't like V8, but I'm sure somebody out there does. I love us for real. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.